Hello friends, welcome back to another Off the Cuff ramble with me, FPL Mez. We are having a couple of technical glitches, so I will see if I can get that working. There we go. You can see me on the screen, hopefully, and I'll see if I can get Andrew up as well. It's just typical, isn't it, when that happens in the background, but it's okay. Everything's fine. I'll just quickly work out if I can do it from here or over here. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for joining us for a Game Week 2 stream. And like I mentioned, it's so good to have Andrew from one of my favorite podcasts, the FPL SideNet podcast over here in Australia, Peterson and Andrew, who I love listening to week after week for quite a few seasons now. And Andrew, it's so good to have you back on the channel as well. And a big shout out to everyone who's tuned in. But Andrew, tell me, how are you going? We were just having a good old natter while, Zoom decided to kind of just collapse for us in the background. But so great to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, life's good. FPL, the start of the season, not so good, but 37 weeks to go to rectify that. So
don't. I'm going to take a massive swig of my rosé wine tonight and try and get through the, how did game week 1 go for us in a moment.
Yeah, that's
but cheers. What are you drinking?
I've got a Capital Brewing hazy Oasis hazy pale.
Oh, nice.
Is quite good.
That's really, really nice. I love that. That's so good.
Yeah. Capital Brewing's a great little brewery down in Canberra.
Yeah, it's such a great brewery. So I used to live in Braddon in Canberra for a good 18 months, and I was living just across the road from Bedspoke, and so yeah, that was my local, and yeah, they just kind of served up amazing beers and ales and the whole lot there. But yeah, Capital Brewery is great as well. It was just and we've probably got one Ken Barron in the chat right now. So FPL planner, TN, who I actually caught up with in person last week, which was fantastic. So really good to see him last week. In Canberra with Ryan as well. But yeah, massive shout out to everyone who's joined us in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. Just make sure that's working at the very least, and get your messages on the screen as well. So Tony, great to have you. Yelena, so lovely to see you in the chat. Loved your video earlier this week. So yeah, making amazing content, just really new, different kind of style of content. Thanks, Tien. Yep, I really hope that you like the jazz music. It's definitely had some good feedback. So yeah, I appreciate it. It's fun for me as well to kind of listen to. But yeah, thank you so much. Peterson, great to have you. It was so nice to chat to you a couple of weeks ago, and I've got your pod partner on the show today. So looking forward to the conversations, and yeah, look, keep the chat conversations going. Send us like questions in between. We'll try and sort of, grab them along the way as well. Wonderful to have you all. So I've got a couple of questions for you, Andrew, just to kind of get started. And, as we sort of, have more people joining us in the chat as well. And of course, in today's stream, what we're going to do is we're going to touch on how our game week 1 went, but also, focus a little bit more on game week 2 and what you see on the eventually what you'll see on the screen is you probably saw the thumbnail. Look, I had a little bit of fun with AI this time around with the thumbnail, or at least like with getting Salah with a lightsaber and in his Star Wars outfit, and all because I'm really hoping that game week 2 will be a bit more hope for me anyway, given how bad my game week went, and it sounds like you had a similar one as well. So we'll touch on that in a mo after we've had a couple more swigs of our drinks anyway. But Andrew, tell me, like, what's your style of your FPL managing style, I guess? Like, how would you best describe that? Are you someone who takes a lot of risks, or you're sort of safe, when it comes to your picks and stuff? And how did you prepare with that in mind for game week 1?
I'd say my style is very vibes based. I have at no point have I ever opened up FPL Review or any similar analytical tool. I'm all about the eye test. I'm all about just sort of gut feel, and it probably doesn't result in the best ranks. And my rank history shows that, but that's the way that I enjoy playing the game, and I think. I just don't think I would enjoy FPL if I'd opened review and changed the draft that I'd come up with myself based on a sense check from FPL Review. So I really enjoy the challenge of just trying to figure it out myself. Picking a draft and then just sort of based on vibes and then just sort of running with it from there. I try not to take it too seriously. Like I really love FPL and I spend a lot of time on it in terms of listening to content. But that's more for entertainment than anything. So I'm not someone that's going to sort of deep dive into models and even sort of fixture tickers very much. But I do listen to a lot of content, just purely entertainment value. And that's just how I enjoy playing. I've been playing FPL for about, I think it's 18, 19 years now.
Yeah, it's long.
Very long time. And it's really only been the last sort of 3 or 4 years that I've started taking it, probably 4 years now that I've started taking it a bit more seriously. I think for the vast majority of probably the first 10 or 15 years, I didn't even know what overall rank was. And it was just all about this one mini league that I've got with my mates, which is, all that mattered. But yeah, the last sort of 4 years, 5 years, I've been listening to a lot more content and sort of, kind of realizing, how much planning can help. I've become more engaged in terms of planning my chip usage and bringing players in for long-term fixture runs and that kind of thing, but still maintaining those core values of just everything being pretty vibes based and
I love it.
Sensible decisions, but not analytically driven decisions.
That's so hard. So I'm finding that so I'm playing I'm going to try to be a super casual manager this season. And I say that going from, just not really following much content in my first season to just working out how to play and just, it was proper vibes in my first season. And I was in the millions and finished, top 200K. For my first season, really happy with that. Second season, I went nuts on the content and just looking at the rules, really understanding the game and just really immersing myself into playing FPL properly, like an proper engaged manager. And of course, I had a really good season in my second season. And then I tried to do the same kind of thing in my third season. And my third season is very reflective of how my current season has started as well, which is, oh, wow, look at this. I'm in the 6 to 7 million. This is going to be fun. So, but what I want to do is try and balance what I've learned over the last couple of seasons. So it's my fifth season. So I want to try and balance that out a little bit more and play whilst being an engaged manager, and of course, creating content as well. Talking about my FPL journey, and it's hard because I want to look at data, and I naturally lean towards looking at data. But I'm trying really hard not to do that this season, and I know it's going to be difficult, but I really like it. I think you and I are going to be chatting a lot more in the background, just to kind of keep me on the good sort of casual vibes kind of pathway. But I was going to ask you, like, have you sort of like with how you set up your team, for obviously not just for game week 1, but when you were looking at your, planning side of it, how engaged were you as a casual during pre-season?
I wasn't particularly engaged in pre-season in terms of following the pre-season results. And watching highlights of preseason matches, but what I did engage in is just sort of a lot of, I guess, a bit of medium term planning. Like what I tried to do this season is set up a team for game week 1, which was pretty good for this kind of the first 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I think last season, and pretty much every season, in recent memory, I've really struggled to build up that transfer bank. Like even when it was 2 free transfers, I always seem to be putting out fires, and I only ever seem to have 1 free transfer. Last year, when we got built up to the possibility of getting up to 5, I think I got to about 3 at the most last season. This season, I've really wanted to build. I really think it's advantageous to kind of get yourself into a position where you have a team that's pretty solid, but you also have a bank of transfers behind you. So I tried to set up a team that I thought that I could get to game week 4 and 5 without having to make too many changes.
Yeah.
And to see if I can build up to 3 or 4, or if I'm very lucky with injuries, even 5 transfers, like fairly early in the season. And then sort of when I do get to that point where I want a wild card from a position of strength where I can roll the 4 or 5 free transfers post wild card and just continue to be in a strong position. So I think one of the reasons why I didn't have a great game week 1 is that I didn't focus too much on game week 1 fixtures alone when I was setting up my team.
Yeah.
A good example would be like Bruno Fernandes. Like, who picks a $9 million midfielder that's playing against the Arsenal, in game week 1? Like, if you're setting up a game week 1 free hit, you're certainly not picking Bruno Fernandes. So there were a couple of players I picked that didn't have great fixtures in game week 1. I had Mateta as well. You wouldn't think that a game against Chelsea is the best. So I guess I didn't do as well as I hoped. But I didn't expect to have like a really, really good game week 1. I was hoping to sort of to stay with the pack game week 1, and then the team that I chose would be pretty solid for the first 4 or 5 weeks, and I would just gradually work my way into a strong position over the first 4 or 5 weeks. I still have hope that I can do that. But that's really what I tried to do this season. Probably, I think there's a big temptation. And I've probably fallen prey to it in the past. It's a big temptation to set up your game week 1 draft to have like a barnstorming game week 1.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't happen.
It's not necessarily the best thing to do. Even if you do have a great game week 1, sometimes you wake up game week 2, game week 3, and the players you've got aren't the best for those game weeks. So I think I tried to look at my team, and I tried to say to myself, if the fixtures were reversed, game week 2 and game week 1, would I make changes? And I tried to make a squad that I wouldn't change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some if you have a team where had the game week 2 and game week 1 fixtures been reversed, you would have done it differently. Then you probably haven't got a great game week 1 draft
That's
because
true.
you shouldn't really be planning for transfers into game week 2. But it is the natural tendency, and it's very tempting to set up a team that just looks schmick for game week 1.
Oh, I completely agree. And for the longest part, I was thinking about doing a bench boost in game week 1 as well. So, I was trying to set up the best possible team for game week 1, and then it looked really shit for game week 2, which is why I was then thinking, oh, do I free hit in game week 2, which, we've got a couple of drafts and, we'll come to, later on on the show. But yeah, I completely agree. And, in my case, like with doing the casual sort of, or trying to play as casually as possible, I went off script. And that's the thing. Like I sort of built my team around what I thought was going to be a decent couple of game weeks. And even then I like to kind of do it in plan in blocks if I can. And so... Yep. I thought maybe 3-4 game weeks or so, I can plan in that sort of chunk and then work out what I want to do after that and vaguely have an idea of like when I wildcard and, when I'll play other chips as well. And so I was open to the idea of bench boosting. And even now I look at the team, if Mr. Mark Guiu decides to play, then yeah, look, if I know that he's going to get 20-30 minutes or something like that, then yeah, it might be worth a bench boost and bench boost too. And whilst my team is not set up for some of the easier fixtures like having Arsenal players, for example, I was just keeping that option open to make potentially one transfer or something like that and see how it goes. But yeah, I've tried not to over plan it and keep the team to be maintain a flexible team as much as possible. But you know what, at the 11th hour, like a proper casual, I went rogue. And I decided to take Reinders out of my team and free up. Yeah, I freed up some funds and made sure that I got, I don't know, I was trying to get Frimpong in. My Liverpool bias just kicked in like strong. And so, I went off script. And so this is where I should have, in hindsight, I should have just stuck to the plan that I had. And it was a solid, 11. And then I was like, what do I do? Like, what if like Pep Roulette and all of that as well? And now everyone's like trying to get Reinders into the team. He's had a price rise. It's still possible that he might not play. Who knows? And Pep Roulette still happens, right? But all these thoughts start sort of creeping in, and especially when you've worked really hard. Well, I say worked really hard. I've gone off script and and planned my team within the last sort of week or so. It's not like I've been planning for weeks and weeks, but. You look at the team and you see the outcome of game week 1 and you sort of go, oh shit, do I wildcard? Like, what do I do? How do I course correct all of this?
Definitely not.
No. And that's one of the things that I tried to do in, I think my review video earlier in the week. I thought, while everything's just really fresh in my head, let me just kind of, do a quick review video. Please do check that out if you haven't checked that out. I'm not going to do a massive review in this particular stream. I'll see if I can link it in, afterwards, somewhere around here for those that are tuning in later. But yeah, thank you to everyone that is tuning in though. I really do appreciate it. Please do like and subscribe if you like this kind of conversational type of content and a very casual take on FPL and life and everything in between as well. That's pretty much the premise of my show anyway. It's very off the cuff. I'm really enjoying sharing my FPL journey, and for the 3rd season now. Actually, I got a reminder on YouTube today where it said you joined YouTube 2 years ago, and I was like, oh wow, okay, it's been 2 years. So 2 years of
Happy
creating.
Anniversary.
Thank you. 2 years of creating content, and my 3rd season sharing my FPL journey, and it's been such a nice roller coaster as well. So yeah, very, very much looking forward to having a decent season to share with you. If not, there'll just be lots of jokes and lots of laughter in between, because it's still early days, right? There's such a long way to go, which is a really good opportunity to jump into how our game week ones are looking. So just a hello, a couple of other hellos as well. Holm, so great to have you in the chat as always, and Ryan, FPL or Football Chat Box. Thank you so much for being there as well. But let's jump to what we're here to, I guess, talk about a little bit more. And I'll see, just make sure that we're all sort of positioned okay after we had a bit of a weird situation with Zoom. So, as mentioned, we're going to be talking about Game Week 2 predominantly, and hope that Game Week 2 ends up becoming better. And Salah, I think we've both got Salah in our drafts at the moment, and Salah starts to sort of, perform as we sort of expect him to as well, really want him to. But I'm not sure if that's going to happen. So yeah, let's jump into our Game Week ones, and yeah, this is what we have at the moment.
Look at us. Who would have thought? Not me.
Yeah, honestly, you cannot make it up. Let me just make sure I've got the right sort of screen over here as well. I don't know if everyone can see it. Nope, it's not there. Let me just check that. What's going on? I'm not sure if everyone can see this screen. Okay. Nope. Let me just have a look. Nah, it's still on the thumbnail. What's going on there? Let's just fix this. Safari window. Oh, there's the Safari window. Now? Yeah. There we go. We've got it on the screen. Sorry about that, guys. So many technical glitches. I'm finding that, after sort of streaming live after, quite a while as well, there's just been little glitches here and there that I'm like picking up on and trying to improve the next stream and hopefully it sounds a bit like my FPL season, actually. It's starting off a little bit rough.
Off for a rough start, but it's a long season to come.
Yeah, amazing. All right, so Game Week 1, Andrew. I thought we could probably tackle it together. That way we're not spending too long on our Game Week 1s. But
Sure.
How shit was Game Week 1? And as expected, I don't know, like maybe I was expecting it to be not that great as well.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be better than this. But to be fair, I probably, I didn't expect it to be like a really high scoring Game Week 1. But yeah, I mean, all I can say is thank God for Salah's, 93rd, 94th minute captaincy goal.
Yeah.
Because without that, it would have been absolutely disgusting. So, but yeah, I did actually make some last minute changes to the draft with about 30 minutes to go before deadline, which took Gakpo out and brought in Rodgers. Yeah. So I did sort of, I kind of have a bit of a regret about that, although. I did want Rodgers in my squad all along. He was in my drafts all along until he had that little injury scare, and then that's when I brought in Gakpo. So when I found out Rodgers was fit, Gakpo came out and Rodgers came in. So it didn't feel great when Gakpo scored that goal, but it's to my point earlier, like Rodgers is someone whose minutes are extremely secure. Villa have got good fixtures for sort of the short to medium term. So I thought that he was a much safer pick than Gakpo, even though obviously Game Week 1 didn't work out as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about my Game Week 1 team. I'm similar to you. I thought about bench boosting. The funny thing is, I think what stopped me from bench boosting was probably the doubt that Dubravka would start. I thought that Gui or Gu or however you say his name, I thought that he would probably come on for a 1-pointer, and I was okay with that. If I'd had confirmation that Dubravka was definitely starting, I probably would have played the bench boost, and it would have been actually a pretty good bench boost thanks to the 9-pointer from Goodman. Yeah, so I would have taken whatever that bench boost is, 9, 10, 11, 13 points or
13.
whatever.
That's pretty good. I would have taken that as well.
I would have if you gave me a 13-point bench boost, I would have taken it. Like, we've got to remember it's single game week bench boost, so that's the equivalent of a 26-point bench boost in the second half of the season. So
that's it.
I would have played it if I'd known that Dubravka was starting, but I didn't, so I held fire. And now it doesn't feel good to play it until we know that Gui is at least going to get minutes, So I think I'll hold fire a bit longer. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the overall squad. Like the points aren't necessarily there. I had the late clean sheet wipeout for Bruggen, which was extremely frustrating. And Anderson and Bruno Fernandes both ended up on 11. Defensive contributions, which was frustrating. It just felt like Cole Palmer was really disappointing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just felt like an overall disappointing game week 1. But I don't mind the team moving forward, so I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to sort of stay the course and see how it goes in the next week or two.
Yeah, and man, honestly, I feel your pain. I mean, I've only got like 2 more points than you, right? And I think like a couple of things to sort of mention, and I'm not saying this because, it's not such a great game week or anything like that. I think it's just so early in the season. I was saying to a couple of people who responded to, I think when I posted up my team and you know what, I think it's worth sort of mentioning that good or bad, I've had really good seasons. I've had, a 2.5k finish, and I've had last season a 26k finish. I was posting like even in the season before, I was like somewhere around 5 to 6 million for at least 10 game weeks. And, earlier I think Holm was saying, if you're still sort of in that sort of region, there's something to change. And I did, during that time. I think it was my third season where I was around that sort of range, but I finished that season around 64k, 65k. So yeah, it's really not like it's not that bad. You can turn things around. I've had that experience myself, and so I don't feel too bad about it. I just want to like be able to share that journey as well, and work and share with you guys how you can turn it around and try out different things and play in a different way, take a few more risks, take a couple of hits, that kind of stuff. So I don't think it's all lost at the moment. It's still so early, right? I'm not going to go and delete my team, basically, is what I'm saying.
well, here's the thing. You can't get a red arrow in game week 1.
That's right.
So what we've done is we've set ourselves up for success in game week 2. This is the only way to get that 37 consecutive green arrows leading up to game week 38. You can't do it without starting at 7 million, so...
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, just looking at our teams, I mean, I had Sanchez in goal, and honestly, I was quite surprised that I got an extra point for Sanchez as well, just in the last couple of days. Actually, how do you feel about that? It's taking a little bit of extra time to kind of sort out, extra like bonus points, and I guess it's going to be the same with DEFCONs and things like that as well. And
I think it happened last season as well. I think what they do, I haven't looked in game week 1 this year, but last year what they were doing is, like they post the initial bonus points, and then Opta changes, they review the game and then they change the stats accordingly. And the bonus points do tend to change on FPL. Like the bonus numbers change on FPL, but they don't actually change the points themselves until like the end of the game week.
Yeah.
So you might see the following day that the players have shuffled around in bonus points, but then they don't. I don't think they push through the actual points changes until like right at the end of the game week, and so you'll see that you do get some changes. A couple of days after the games happened. I just kind of I was kind of hoping it would work in my favor. Like when Bruno and Anderson both had 11 defensive contributions, I was thinking to myself, surely one of those they find another defensive contribution by Tuesday morning or whatever, but they didn't. But
no,
in a way, it kind of gives you a bit of hope, and you just I just treat the scores as provisional and rough scores until like the end of the game week, but they will change. I think we've just got to accept that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and you know, I don't know, like it depends how much you kind of think about, you know, your game week ranks and your overall rank, you know, so early on. You know, I think it's so I remember sort of posting my team, and I still sort of like, even when I did my review, I showed like I'm 6.9 million or something like that, 6.5 million or whatever it was, but it's so bunched up at the moment. So yeah, I wouldn't sort of spend too long thinking about it and you know, really obsessing over it. I think, you know, like you can turn it around. It depends what your goals are, right? Like I always aim for, so far, at least since I've been playing, I've been aiming for like a top 100k kind of a season.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not over until it's over. So yeah, long way to go. But
Well,
you know, looking at sorry, go.
I was just like, I was just saying, I think that top 50k is like an exceptional season, and you just mentioned about 5 minutes ago that there was one year where you were like 5-6 million until game week 10, and you finished at 64k.
Yeah.
So there's definitely nothing to worry about this early in the season. I'm not too stressed. I won't finish top 50k, but it's not because of game week 1. It's going to be because of game weeks 1 to 38. But anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? That funny enough, that was the season that I stopped using too many data models and stopped watching as much content as I was watching as well.
Yeah.
And I started tuning into, funny enough, like more conversational type of content and just listening to other managers' thought processes and, you know, different perspectives that they were bringing as well. Not, you know, overly analytical and not overly sort of data driven. And, you know, there are a couple of content creators that I really enjoyed watching, and I almost sort of toned down how much I was watching because they were too analytics, you know, like and focused and data focused. And I didn't want to sort of be that kind of a manager. And so, you know, I think every season I'm going to try and play slightly differently each time and learn from, you know, that season. And so, you know, the last season I hardly watched any football, and mostly because I couldn't, but also, I chose not to as well. And I was just kind of, you know, basing it on news and a couple of highlights here and there and a little bit of data as well. But this season I'm going to try and watch more football if I can, and look at less data and play a little bit like a casual manager. And even then, when you look at these teams, right, you look at my team, it's a little bit template. I was looking at my family members' team, and they had Chris Wood, you know, up front. They had an 8 Nori, you know, as well. I mean, they went with Salah. They didn't go with Haaland in that scenario, but they, you know, they had some proper vibe picks as well. And I was like, yeah, like I'm saying I want to play like a casual manager, but actually I'm not. My team is actually a little bit more template than what I hoped it would be. But maybe I can evolve that, is what I'm hoping.
Well, you can't unlearn what you've learned over the last few seasons. Like you don't have like the Men in Black flashlight in front of your face. So you the players you've picked are because you've obviously been pretty engaged for the last couple of seasons. You know which players are good.
Yeah, true.
You can't help but look at the fixtures and you know, kind of target the fixture runs, which is what you should do whether you're playing casually or whether you're playing analytically, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're never going to be able to be a true casual while ever you're kind of immersed in this game as much as you are. Yeah.
I just saw your podding partner just said you won't get 50k. You won't get 50k with that attitude, Andrew. So yeah, you know, you're going to have him breathing down your neck with that.
I'm just, I think it's a defense mechanism. I'm just protecting myself from my own pain. That's all right. I'm still aiming for number 1, Pete. Don't worry.
Brilliant. Let's have a quick look at team of the week as well, while we're sort of on the topic of, you know, like we're not going to talk too much about the matches, you know, previous game week. Check out the FPL SideNet podcast. I'm sure they're going to do a nice review of the game week as well, and chat a bit more about it. So I'll let you catch that. You know, there's a plug-in for one of my favorite podcasts So yeah, please do check that out. But yeah, team of the week was really interesting. Obviously, you can't actually get this particular team. Oh, maybe you could actually. You could probably, yeah. Actually, I wonder what we don't have here, and I wonder if that's a message to the official FPL to say, hey, maybe you can put a value for this team as well. Like I'm not going to go and calculate that right now, but I'm pretty sure this is an affordable team right now. So we've got Raya with 10-pointer there, which again, is that a surprise? Maybe it is, but
I think it is a surprise. Like usually Raya is like a 2 or 6 kind of guy.
Yeah.
So the 10-pointer, that's huge.
It's huge.
For him. Like he probably only gets a couple of double figure hauls per season. So he's got one of them out of the way game week 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, a lot more than what I thought. And I completely agree. Like whenever I sort of think about picking Raya in my team, and last couple of seasons, I think I've brought him in on a wild card or something like that. It's a secure 6-pointer that you're aiming for there. And typically, double Arsenal defence as well when we're sort of, picking our game week 1 squads as well, or at least like one Arsenal defender. And this time round, we've not gone for any. At least like the general, sort of consensus has been not to go for any. But Calafiori getting 13 points there with a weird-headed goal, which is a little bit controversial as well. Again,
that
unexpected.
Had to be like a 0.99 XG.
That's
chance.
it.
Like it was. I could have scored that one, and I don't say that very often.
Yeah, well, you are very tall. I think those that don't know and haven't met Andrew in person, you are very tall. Like how tall are you actually? 5'6"?
6 foot.
Sorry,
6
foot.
Yeah. Actually,
6'4".
You're right. I probably would have missed the ball and headbutted the crossbar if I was in Calafiori's position. But 6'4". So it's very helpful at concerts.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, it was great. Like, I think when we were having a meet-up in Sydney as well, like, I remember sort of looking back at you and sort of go, can you see? And then I was like, yeah, you can see. It's fine. You're good. So Ballard, I think there's been quite a few managers bringing Ballard in as well. I haven't looked at transfers in, at least an updated transfers in, but 17-pointer from Ballard. That's huge.
Is he 4.0 or is he a 4.5?
I think it's 4.5. I might be wrong. Maybe the chat can tell us.
Because I think he might have gone up. I think he's gone up to 4.6 then. I think he's definitely gone up.
Yeah.
And, I was wondering who would get the first 17-pointer of the season, and there it is.
Yeah, unexpected Sunderland versus West Ham, who let in 3 goals, and I think that this is one of the reasons why I'm like, do I take out Palmer or not? Is definitely on the forefront for me, whether I take him out or not. But they're playing West Ham next, so maybe just a hold there. But Rico Lewis was really interesting because, last season he was a very frustrating pick that I had in my side and dropped in price, and we held on to him. He was, starting, not starting, but it was also, maybe it was last season or the season before? I'm not sure. But Quansah, Rico Lewis comes to mind now of the players where they were a steal at their price point and then dropped in value, which was very frustrating. So, interesting to see him pop up with an 11-pointer there.
He's a player that I think last season he always looked like he was on the cusp of an attacking return, and he just never got them.
Yeah,
and so it's interesting that he's got it in game week 1 this year. So maybe he's turned over a new leaf. We're getting a luckier version of Rico Lewis this season.
Maybe, and I think that's maybe that's just the thing, right? Like even Oscar Bob, right? So like last season we're all, or was it last season? Again, the season before, I'm kind of like
I think it was last season that he broke his leg in preseason.
Yeah, he was the pick. Yeah, he was
almost the Reinders of last season.
That's it. I think it was 5 million.
Midfielder from Man City. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Gosh, you'd think we'd learn, right? The funny thing is, so speaking of Reinders, and obviously Reinders got his 10-pointer and he was doing really well in pre-season. I had Pete on my show with Ryan a couple of weeks ago and he was talking up Reinders endlessly, which was great to hear. And I think when we were on Ryan's show as well, he was talking up Reinders then as well. I drafted him into my team, and then I was like, oh, I really want Frimpong. Where can I free up money? And Reinders had to go, you know. But yeah,
I think on our show Pete talked about Reinders for about 12 minutes.
Yes.
And I just let it wash over me, and I was like, yeah, cool, and then just didn't get Reinders.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, Pete deserves to have those points to himself.
Definitely. Let him have double the points just for the missed opportunity that you and I have had anyway. But yeah, no, Reinders 10-pointer. And obviously everyone's gone nuts for him now, like with bringing him in, which is really interesting because... Yeah, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I'm not feeling this massive urgency to bring him in as well. I know it's like a cheap sort of entry into the City squad as well, especially when you haven't gone with Haaland on the first instance anyway. But yeah, I'm not sure if I want to go there just yet. So I'll see how it goes. Like, see how he shows up versus Spurs next, and then decide after that.
Yeah, I think for me, like my structure, my team structure had space for one 5.5 midfielder,
right?
And I went with Elliot Anderson. I really like Elliot Anderson. I think he's an absolute baller, and he played really well in game week 1 as well. I'm really happy to have him in my team. So I think that for me, the lesson on Reinders is not that I should have gone for him over Elliot Anderson, but potentially there is the opportunity for a midfield structure with 2 5.5s.
Yeah, definitely.
So if I do kind of decide that, game week 1 was not a one-off and Reinders is going to be that player for all season, then it might well be that it's sort of that kind of 7 million slot, or 7.5 million slot, that kind of Rodgers as a kind of slot Gakpo that goes down to Reinders, and then that allows us to upgrade elsewhere. And under that scenario, like, I see absolutely no rush to bring him in. He's only 5.6.
Yeah,
I even if he goes up to 6, I can downgrade Rodgers to Reinders and still have plenty of money left over to upgrade elsewhere. So that's why I'm not rushing into it. I want to see whether that is a viable structure. The 2 5.5 mids. I just don't think it's. I think it's too early to know that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think I did a draft with both Anderson and Reinders in the team as well, and I think that was mostly because I was looking at having Haaland and Salah in my team. And I started last season with both in my team as well. And so, I was tempted to kind of go there with both in this scenario. And I had 2 5.5s. But, I think like from Anderson, I knew from an attacking return point of view might be a little bit lower, but then he went and got the assist, right? And Ryan's
he nearly got a second one. He was on the corner that they scored from. It just happened to hit 2 defenders before Wood scored. If it had just hit one of them, it would have been his assist as well. And I think he had a big chance that he missed. He nearly scored a goal as well.
And I think so. I agree. I think there's definitely an opportunity there. But there you go. Just kind of, I won't touch on like O'Reilly there too much, but Kudus, I think, was one of the biggest hypes of preseason. Got a 10-pointer, got 2 assists, it looks like. And it's good, but now there's signs of, or at least a little bit more confirmation that Eze might be going to Spurs as well. So I don't know what that means, I think Eze's occupying that sort of number 10 role, and with Madders out as well. But it'll be interesting how the new Spurs start to sort of line up, and I don't think we're going to see much of that. It'll be interesting what we see against City, but it's the subsequent sort of game weeks after.
Yeah, for sure. And just a quick point on O'Reilly. The thing that's interesting about him is that it looks like he's going to be on pens when
that's right.
Welbeck's not on the field. I think a lot of people expected like Ruter to take that pen. So
that's a good point.
If Welbeck is his usual injury-prone self, then O'Reilly might start to look a lot more interesting because Brighton do tend to win a lot of pens. Like I think last season, one of the reasons why João Pedro is so popular is because he scored
That's right.
10 goals, but five of them were penalties. So
Penalties, yeah.
they definitely win more penalties than the average team because they've got like quite a lot of tricky kind of pacey players that do have that ability to win penalties. So
Yeah, yeah.
I will keep my eye on him a little bit. But yeah, Kudus is definitely an interesting one. I think for me, it's one that I want to wait to see how that team settles down after the transfer windows
Yeah.
closes. So if he's still looking good and playing, pretty good minutes after that happens, then he might be one to consider on the second wild card if Spurs are going okay.
I think
Sorry,
so.
the first
The
wild
first
card. I
wild
mean.
card, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
after sort of 7 or 8 weeks or so.
Yeah, I agree, and I think like for me, Semenyo, wow, like he was brilliant against us, and I don't know, like I wish I had gone there with one of the Bournemouth attackers. I don't know, like, do you think that we underestimated what their attack would be like after they lost some defensive players?
I think it's very difficult to pick a bottom half team attacker when game week 1 they're away to Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think mentally it's a bit of a block. Like you can look at game weeks 2 to 8 and see they've got good fixtures all you like, but it's just really difficult to put one in your team knowing that they're away to Liverpool in game week 1. So I think people sort of dismissed it for that reason. I mean, they also Bournemouth have had a lot of change, especially in their defence.
Yeah.
So I think that people just weren't sure exactly how good Bournemouth would be this season, but it looks like,
I think
at least from an attacking point of view,
Yeah.
they are going to be an exciting team to watch. And that second goal for Semenyo, I think, is massively underrated goal. Like everyone's talking about the Richarlison goal this week, and rightly so. But that driving run from his own half and then
So
turning
good.
Kanate inside, he made Kanate look like an
I know.
under six defender. He embarrassed him, and it was such a good finish. So I loved watching that goal.
It was honestly,
I thought it was fantastic.
I was just like, at that moment, I wasn't a Liverpool fan, if that made sense. Like, if that makes sense,
yeah.
I was a football support. Like, I was someone who was just enjoying watching football, and such a great goal as well. But what a great opening match as well of the Premier League season. So yeah, really one to watch for sure. And I think even with Ivan Nilsson, like he was very quiet in that match and could have. I think Semenyo just had the opportunities and he took them really, really well, especially after some of, what he experienced as well on the field, which was awful from one of the Liverpool fans. I'm really glad that that's been tackled really well. And but it's a shame. But he almost sort of went, you know what, fuck you. This is what I'm going to do. And this is what I'm going to show you. I'm just going to show you how it's done. And and good on him. But
back-to-back braces in the Premier League as well. He
good.
Got a brace in game week 38 last season as
that's
well.
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, so good. But one to look out for, and one that I'm kind of eyeing up to potentially bring in, because Bournemouth do have some decent fixtures as well, which we'll get to. Look up front, 13 pointers all round there, like in that forward line for team of the week. You got Richarlison with 13 points, Wood with 13, and Haaland with 13. I don't know, like Richarlison, look, Solanke's out, so sure, okay, like I'm really pleased for him. It's going to be a massive confidence boost for him. But I feel like with Wood and Haaland, did we write them off a little bit? Like Forest weren't scoring goals, and we didn't go for Chris Wood. The fixtures were good, but we still didn't go there. What might have been some of those factors?
I don't think anyone wrote Haaland off. I think
no,
most
not
people
Haaland.
sort of predicted him to be the golden boot. It's more of a price thing, and Salah's always so good to start the season. I think most people just went with him. But I've got to admit that I think I wrote off Chris Wood to a certain extent. Like I just couldn't believe that he was going to have a similar season this year that he did last year.
Yeah.
I guess I thought with he seemed to tire quite a bit the second half of last season, and I thought he's a year older. This year they've got Europe to tackle as well. So I just didn't expect him to have as good a season. I still don't expect him to have as good of a season. But I suppose game week 1, Europe hasn't started yet, and home to Brentford, who are in, they're in a bit of a
La La
shambles
Land.
at the
Yeah.
moment. So I think that it was the perfect matchup for him.
Yeah.
And, he obviously silenced the doubters, but I don't think he can continue this as long as he did for this season, for as long as he did last season. I just think it was a bit of it was fixture based, and also just the fact that Europe hasn't started yet, but I think they are going to manage his minutes more this season than last season. Because I think they did realise that he ran out of gas towards the end of last season. They've got to protect him this year. So I think we're going to see him coming off after like 70 minutes a lot more this season than we did last season as well.
Yeah, I reckon so. And look, Haaland is just Haaland. He's kind of terrifying. And I'm now thinking, I wish I'd just gone with that. Double 5.5. Mids and Haaland and Salah in the draft.
Yeah, I think if everyone had like a mulligan on game week 1, they would do that double 5.5 midfield structure and start with Salah and Haaland.
It's not too late. You've got a wild card. You can play it in game week 2.
I do have a wild card. But I think it's just for me. It's just too much of a knee jerk.
Agreed.
I think we talked about Chris Wood and the circumstances that led to the brace. I think Haaland's similar. Like Wolves are in all sorts of trouble as well. He always destroys Wolves even at the best of times. So let's see what happens after a few weeks, and maybe wild card. Maybe the first wild card will be played early, and maybe it will be to get both Haaland and Salah in. My initial thoughts for my first wild card is I was planning on switching actually and going for Haaland. Like I wanted Salah for that opening 6-7 weeks where he's always at his absolute peak. But after that, with AFCON coming and him a year older, and them having more attacking assets coming in to take a greater share of the goal scoring. I actually do think that Salah's going to have a relatively quiet year by his standards, and I think I have a rough plan to switch from the Salah structure to the Haaland structure on my first wild card. It's just a matter of when that first wild card comes.
Yeah. Do you have like a window in mind at the moment?
Not really, but I tried to plan my game week 1 draft for sort of the first 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then after that reassess. So if I'm going really well, then and there's no need to pull the wild card, then I probably will let it run a bit. But I'd consider using it sort of after the first 6 weeks, and depending on where I'm sitting. If I'm still sitting at 7.5 million, I probably should do something a bit proactive after 6 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at some of the projected goal and clean sheet odds from our good bud Rob T FPL. But before I do that, I loved this. I saw this on X, and just I was like, why did I bring in Frimpong? What was I thinking? But
I tell
there
you what,
go.
though, to be fair, like 30 more seconds and it's a genius move.
I know,
because the narrative is always that it's actually good to have a defender that comes off after 65, 70 minutes.
100%,
you can lock in a clean sheet that later disappears.
That was Ben White for me a couple of seasons ago, and if Tien is still in the chat, he and I were always like celebrating Ben White getting an assist or a goal or a clean sheet and then jumping off.
The man with the fakest tan in the Premier League. Ben White.
Yeah, exactly. But no, look, I'm going to hold on to Frimpong. Spoiler alert. I think I'm just going to hold on to him for a little while longer. But jumping on to projected goals and clean sheet odds. So this is a graphic from Rob T FPL, and I think he's partnered with Solio now as well this season, which is very exciting for him and the guys at Solio as well. But this is probably the most amount of data I'm going to look at is what I've decided. Like occasional little bit here and there with expected, X this and X that. maybe light touches around that. But I think, I like this because it's got a bit of that, betting data as well and where the market is kind of going. So I don't mind that kind of data. It's probably the only data I'm going to try and look at. But yeah, let's have a quick chat about the fixtures that are coming up and maybe a couple of players that we have in mind, or at least those that are thinking about transfers in. I know Q just asked a question in the chat. Great to see you, Q, as well. But, thoughts on my transfer of Mbumo this week for Wirtz. Look, personally, I would hold on to Wirtz a little bit longer. But I'm saying that a little bit from a Liverpool bias perspective as well. But I'm not sure if Wirtz is the best kind of FPL option at the moment as well. So I haven't made up my mind on that, but I feel like it might be a bit too soon to move on Mbumo. But yeah, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you had Wirtz for game week 1, you probably had him for a reason, and one blank doesn't make him a bad pick. Having said that, Liverpool's games in game week 2 and 3 are a bit more difficult.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if I know that Q is a big Man United fan, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's probably feeling the vibes. Like I thought Mbumo was pretty good in game week 1 for United. So if he's feeling it, then yeah, I guess it makes him a bit of money, doesn't it? There's about a 1 million difference, I think.
Yeah. No, only 0.5.
Oh, 0.5,
yeah.
8.5 down to 8.
Yeah, it's not much, so, but yeah.
No, it's not much, but it could allow him to upgrade.
Yeah.
Elsewhere. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Look, if it was a planned transfer, like if he wanted Wirtz for that first game week home to Bournemouth, and then his plan was to move to a different midfielder, knowing that Liverpool's fixtures in game week 2 and game week 3 aren't quite as good, then I think that Mbomo's a good option to move to, because I thought he was very sharp against Arsenal.
Yeah.
But if it's sort of just a knee jerk to what happened in game week 1, I'd probably say no.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fair. I'll quickly take this one from Holm around now that Gravenberch is back. I'm so glad that he's back. We might not be as wide open as we have been. So, yeah, just kind of like fair warning that Grav is a huge, player for us. But like, who comes out of Wirtz, McAllister, and Szoboszlai? I don't think Wirtz comes off. I think he's going to start. He is going to keep starting. I don't think it's a question of, him coming off. I think or not starting matches. I think it's going to be Mac and Szoboszlai sort of combo. Yeah, it's going to be interesting how we start to sort of line up. I think we've got a couple more transfers that we're trying to make as well. I'm not going to chat about the Isak saga. I just feel like that plot is thickening, day by day, hour by hour at the moment. I don't know what the latest is and if there's any other sort of social media updates from any area around there. But, I think getting Gehi in will be huge for us as well. Just getting a little bit more of that kind of depth in the defence will help there as well. But we've had like Curtis Jones and Endo and some of the other guys playing in defensive roles as well. So I think it's going to take a little bit more time for us to gel as a team. But yeah, I don't know. I think if anything, it's going to vary between Mac and Szoboszlai. They are just workhorses, right? They just work so hard. And they are like sprinting up and down, but also just the amount of energy that they exert into that midfield as well. So I think it's going to be between those two that the transfers are going to be, the rotation during matches we're going to have there. But Wirtz is going to keep starting, I reckon.
Yeah, I heard a couple of Liverpool fans say that they weren't impressed with Szoboszlai in the first game. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I thought he was good. Yeah, I thought it was good. Like he's, I think we were exposed, right? Like just again not having Gravenberch in in that defensive midfield, position. He's been phenomenal like last season for us, and so not having him in that first fixture, we were exposed, and we're still, like there's so many new players in the side already, right? Like we've got two wing backs as well, or wing backs. Like that's what it feels like. I have no idea like what's going on there, but it'll be really interesting to see how we shape up in the next fixture, which is a very exciting one. Probably a good place to start. Like maybe we start with the last fixture of the game week, Newcastle versus Liverpool. I'm so excited because it's like at 5 a.m. Over here in Australia. And so I'm really looking forward to just waking up early for it. And there's going to be so much drama and so much tension, so much controversy around it. I can see us losing, at the moment.
No.
Yeah.
I can't see that.
I don't know.
Newcastle were better than I expected in game week one, because I thought with all the turmoil going on, I really thought that they might be a bit distracted, but they were really focused in that first game. So yeah, it's interesting to see the clean sheet odds there.
Yeah.
What is it, like 24% for Liverpool, 15% for Newcastle? So we're going to see some goals.
With what forward?
For Newcastle?
Yeah.
Anthony Gordon.
That's right.
The 1970s
oh
Wimbledon winner.
My God, the Wimbledon winner, the Wimbledon champ, Anthony Gordon. Oh my gosh.
He'll be on the field with his Dunlop volleys, taking pens. No problem.
Oh God. Yeah, I can't believe how like uncanny, honestly.
Honestly, like it's got to go. Like we need to get the shears out.
Yeah, no, not sure what's going on there. But yeah, Anthony Gordon, that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that match, and I just feel like there's just going to be so much tension, in the on the ground there, and we're away as well. It's just, it's going to, a lot of drama surrounding that one. Holm just said Bjorn Borg. Absolutely. Yeah, just the vibes of like or also Boris Becker, like early days of Boris Becker, Bjorn Borg as well. It's like some of those players from way back then, proper 70s, right? So 70s, 80s. Insane. But anyway, let's chat about some of these fixtures. So I'm really hoping that Palmer starts to kind of show up a little bit more in these games coming up. So West Ham obviously shipped 3 goals to Sunderland. Obviously an away fixture for them, but they're playing at home now. Chelsea playing West Ham. I think naturally we're thinking, they might just be okay and turn up a little bit more versus West Ham. What do you reckon? So from a goals perspective, Chelsea around that 2 goals, West Ham 1 goal, clean sheet odds slightly lower for Chelsea, but still relatively high as well. So interesting that West Ham 1 goal, but also 36%, is the second highest of the clean sheet odds, this game week. So what do you reckon?
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed in Palmer in game week 1. He wasn't great. It wasn't just about the end result, but it was actually about how well he played, and it wasn't great. And I had him penciled in for my game week 2 captain. Yeah. And I'm kind of wavering between not letting one game week change my plan too much. Yeah. Whereas on the other hand, I'm thinking, well, it's not just one game week. It's like pretty much the entire second half of last season and game week 1. The only good game he's really played in the last 6 months has been that Club World Cup final. Yeah. So maybe like Salah, Liverpool have kind of got similar. They've got similar kind of expected goals. Like maybe a stick with Salah, like he's destroyed Newcastle over the years. It always seems to be a high scoring match. Yeah. But just getting back to the Chelsea game, I think out of all the players that are in my squad, as I've said, quite a few times, I tried to build my squad for 4 or 5 weeks. And he's the one that's on the thinnest ice because it's a lot of money for someone that's played as badly as he did in game week 1. Yeah.
I agree. And,
Yeah.
you know,
So this is a big game for him.
Yeah, it is. I think for Palmer especially, and I'm definitely eyeing that up as a how do I downgrade you and maybe even go for a cheaper option. Actually, in fact, I don't think I have the exact funding for it now, but I'm pretty sure I had exact funding for dropping Palmer down to a 5.5 Reinders, for example, or an Anderson or something like that, and upgrading Watkins potentially to Haaland as well.
Yeah.
So
does that still work now that Reinders is up to 5.6, or is that?
I think it does. Okay. Actually, I can have a really quick look. I've just got FPL team on my screen.
Yeah. I'd be lying if I didn't there you go. Didn't say
but not Reinders though. Yeah, not Reinders. Yeah. But in my case, I could go like an Anderson or an interesting Oscar Bob as well. Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. But yeah, look, it's possible. But yeah, I don't think I'll be taking a hit so soon. In the season. But yeah, just coming back here. So yeah, I was looking at that just as a knee-jerk kind of a move. But no, I think I'm going to just give him one more week. But also I was considering bringing in the guy that's on the graphic there as well, Saka.
Yeah, he's another good kind of tempting knee-jerk option. But the problem is, well, not necessarily a problem because Saka is brilliant, but after this Leeds game, Arsenal's fixtures aren't great for like the next 3 or 4.
No.
So it's a very early move for what might only be a 1 week thing. And now we've got that confirmation, or at least we think we've got confirmation that Gyökeres is on penalties.
It's a lot. It's a lot of money still, isn't it? So I was deliberating Saka over Palmer for game week 1 as well. And look, they both got the same number of points. They both each got 3 points. And so I ended up going with Palmer just to start with. And just in case, you just don't know, right? So I thought, let me just save myself one move there. So I started with Palmer just in case. Saka wasn't necessarily on fire, but then the fixture maybe. Look, I thought United played really well. It's really hard for me to say that as a Liverpool supporter, but I thought United played really well against Arsenal. So maybe it wasn't the best fixture for Saka that time round, but Leeds is a really good fixture. But then after that, I know Bruno has got Burnley in game week 3. So then I'm thinking, do I just hop between a couple of those players until I go back to or settle on a player by game week 4? Or do I just, at that point, just not go for a premium, mid option after Salah, basically? So that's something I'm still thinking about. So I could go Palmer to Saka this game week and then drop Saka down to Bruno for that Burnley fixture. But again, Bruno was playing a little bit deeper as well. So I'm not sure. I feel like all of that is up in the air. So game week 1 was a bit of an experiment for me to just see which one of these, 9 million to 10.5 million players is doing really well and that I want to go for because I've got FOMO to go there. And it's none of them at the moment. Yeah,
the answer is none of them after game week 1, but after game week 2, maybe the answer will be different. So
that's why I'm thinking maybe I just wait.
I think if when in doubt, just roll after one game week. I think that's probably the smartest move. But having said that, that Leeds fixture does look pretty juicy.
It does. It really does. But last bit with the Chelsea West Ham, João Pedro, came off again. We're going to keep seeing that happen. Delap looked good as well.
Jackson's still there, and he's back.
Jackson's still there.
I think his suspension is over now. So game week 2, is he going to get some minutes?
Don't know.
No.
Yeah. Maybe Newcastle should buy him.
I'm not so sure about the yes, definitely. I think Newcastle want to buy Wissa, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Wissa's doing exactly what Isak is doing to.
I know. That's we don't like what Isaac's doing, so let's get the dude who's doing the exact same thing for another team.
Exactly. Yeah. Bowen, what do you do if you've got Bowen in the side?
I think you hold him.
Yeah.
I think you hold him. I mean, it's like Bowen's got 3 years of pedigree. You know he's great.
Yeah.
So I think 1 week is not enough. I mean, their first game week, even though it was against Sunderland, it was away from home. And it was, like obviously Sunderland coming back to the Premier League after so many years
Yeah.
out of it, they were
Yeah.
going to be fired up. So, in hindsight, maybe it's not that much of a surprise. It was a more difficult game than people expected. Yeah, I mean, having said that, I mean, Chelsea's not a very easy game either, but I just
No.
think that if you started with Bowen, there's probably no need to jump off him because unless you've got money in the bank to go, I don't know, up to a Watkins or something. I mean,
Or
which
Gyökeres.
7.5? Yeah, I mean, but none of the players that you would switch Bowen to, I guess, except for Chris Wood, were really that impressive in the first game week.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Solanke, we're still not sure. Mateta hasn't done anything yet. Gyökeres off after 59 minutes. Watkins was not great.
Yeah.
So, like it feels a bit like Wood was the only one, but then home to Brentford. Like, do we put too much stock in that? Like, I want to see how Wood goes.
Yeah.
This week against Crystal Palace, who are much more solid defence.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought, oh gosh, Crystal Palace were really great against Chelsea, right? And I'm definitely eyeing up the defensive assets there. So if I was to drop Frimpong, it probably would be for like a Munoz or Lacroix, to bring in instead. But anyway. Let's look at the Bournemouth Wolves fixture. I thought Strand Larsen looks really good against City. And I'm really glad that I've got him in my side as well, because I was borderline thinking, do I go for Fulkrug? It's a funny one, actually, because if I had gone Fulkrug, I probably would have been able to hold on to Reinders in my team with that 0.5 million.
But then you would have been stuck with Fulkrug.
Exactly. So it's like, pick your like you gotta I can't really complain, and so I have to just suck it up that I didn't end up with Reinders, ended up with Frimpong, but it meant that I have got Strand Larsen with a flurry of decent-ish fixtures, but also promising to see him the way he played against City there. But is there much to talk about in this fixture? I mean, are you surprised about... I'm surprised about the clean sheet odds there against Wolves, because, again, Bournemouth defensively are not looking that great, but... Yeah.
I suppose... I'm definitely expecting Wolves to score in that game. I guess the interest is with the Bournemouth attackers, like, it is another good fixture for Semenyo. So are we going to see Semenyo be that first very early bandwagon? I suppose Reinders is probably the first bandwagon, but Semenyo is going to be not far behind if he scores again this week against Wolves. Agree.
Look, the next fixture... it's like your bench boost galore going on here with Burnley and Sunderland there. So if you've got Burnley, Sunderland, you got Steve or Esteve, in your side, and a couple of Sunderland players as well. I don't think Mark Guiu is going to have minutes in this fixture. It might be a surprise, actually, if he comes on for like 20 minutes or something like that. But there's a lot of defensive assets from Sunderland and Burnley, and I've got Xhaka in my side at the moment, and I'm thinking about playing him as well. Could be a really fun game.
Yeah, a lot of people have got Dubravka as well, including myself, and it's a question of, do you play Dubravka in this fixture and bench your more expensive keeper?
Yeah,
it's something I'm thinking about.
I'm definitely thinking about it as well, because I don't know, maybe West Ham, because Chelsea are away, because I've got Sanchez and Dubravka as well, so I'm definitely considering that. I don't know, like, I can't believe I ended up with Sanchez. I told myself in preseason, I'm not going to go with Sanchez. I'm going to go with Sells and get a decent 5 mil and above, goalkeeper. And then I ended up with, Bobby Sanchez.
It's worked out so far.
It's fine. It's fine. But look, Dubravka could be a good option this week if you're not on bench boost and to play ahead. I think, it's definitely worth it. Could be a differential there.
Yeah. Bench boost is out for me because I've got Gunnarsson as my cheap 4.0 defender who's obviously up against Arsenal. So, a lot of people went for Estev. I went with Gunnarsson. I'm a Leeds fan. I couldn't help myself. So it was bench boosting game week 1. I felt pretty good about their clean sheet chances against Everton. But I didn't play it because I wasn't sure about Dubravka and Gui. So I guess I'm just going to save it. But game week 2 is definitely out for me. I'm not playing Goodmanson on my bench boost away.
No.
No.
And I've got Van der Ven. I've got Van der Ven. And I don't know, that could still be okay versus City. I know, I feel like City, Tottenham, and we can jump to that fixture, just, we're sort of out of pattern there, but let's just jump to that fixture. But I feel like City have a couple of bogey teams and Spurs is one of them. So, this could be, I don't know, it could be a bit of a curveball for them, especially with a Thomas Frank side now as well.
It could be. But I mean, Thomas Frank is he's a very good manager, but he also, last season Brentford they were part of so many 4-2, 4-3, 3-2 kind of games. I think if the Tottenham Man City curse continues, it's going to be more in the form of a 3-2 win rather than a 1-0 or 2-0. I'm still not sure that the Tottenham defensive assets are great. I think Porro could get an attacking return, I suppose.
I guess if you do have Porro, do you play Porro in this fixture?
I'm very reluctant. I have Porro, and I'm very reluctant to play him. You look at those clean sheet odds, 18%. So you really are relying on that kind of attacking return, and even someone as good in attacking as Porro, you're probably only expecting an attacking return once every 3 or 4 weeks at best.
It's not even 18. It's not even 18. It's 10%.
Oh,
sorry,
10, that little line through the middle.
Let me.
Should have gone to Specsavers.
Look at that. Look at that.
But
10%.
There we go.
It's
10%.
Yeah.
So you're really relying on the attacking returns, and it's always hard to bench a 5.5 defender, but I think I will this week. I really do.
Yeah. No, fair play. I think it's going to be an interesting match, that one. A couple of goals, probably Haaland, brace again, who knows. Reinders will probably get a goal, who knows. Or maybe he won't start and do us all a favour. Wishful thinking there.
I can imagine him being benched and me cheering, and then he comes on and scores. He comes on for the last 20 and scores a goal. Then that's
probably. I want Oscar Bob to do well.
I'm expecting.
I want Oscar Bob to do well. Yeah, that'd be really good.
I love Oscar Bob.
Yeah, me too. I really like him. I think as for another 5.5, it's. I don't know. I think I need to give it a couple of game weeks to see how much game time he's getting. But I'd be tempted to go there just because he's just so promising, and everyone's jumped onto Reinders, so it could be a really good differential to have as well at 5.5 as well. Look, Palace Forest. Let's just jump there. I feel like it's interesting when you look at the goals. So about 1 goal each roughly. With Palace sort of edging it a little bit there. And then clean sheet odds is really interesting as well here after Wood has just scored a brace in his first fixture against, Brentford. But 31% clean sheet odds. It's a home fixture for Palace. Maybe that's what's kind of, increasing some of those numbers there as well. I've got double Forest defence at the moment, and I'm planning to play double Forest defence as well. I'm not sure what to expect from this fixture. This could quite easily be a 0-0 as well.
I was going to say the same thing, Mira. Yeah, I'm feeling those nil. The thing about Palace is like, is Eze going to play, and
That's a good point. Yeah.
is Mark Gahey going to play? Last season when they lost Elise, they really struggled to adapt to life without him in that first kind of 10 weeks, 10
Yeah.
game weeks. So I wonder whether losing Gahey and Eze is going to be difficult, like a difficult transition for them, as good as they've looked in preseason and as good as they played in game week 1. So if they are a little bit clunky, and then Nottingham Forest are always a defence first, clean sheet first team,
Yeah.
I can see this going down the route of a 0-0 draw.
I think
Another
so.
one.
I think so
Yeah.
too. But like I mean, Palace have just been really impressive defensively, and I think they've adjusted really well with, losing. Well, it took them time after they lost Elise. I don't know. I quite like Glasner as a manager as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to
Yeah.
be a big adjustment. Interesting that Eze lost pens as well, right? So Mateta's now taking the pens from what it seems like. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's I think it's going to be interesting, but I'm not sure if Eze will play, just because
Yeah.
those
I think the talks are a lot more advanced than they were in that first game week.
That's right. That's right. And so I mean, that particular fixture is on Sunday. Yeah, we don't know. It's difficult to say. But Gahey, I have a feeling we're still a little bit of time off from Gahey like coming through to Liverpool. But yeah, I'll be surprised if that transfer happens before the Newcastle fixture. But very happy if it does as well. But I don't think he'll play. If anything, I don't even think he'll come on as a sub either. But it just means that he'll be ready for potentially the next fixture against Arsenal. Which wouldn't be so terrible either. But again, it will take him time to just adjust as well. So I reckon Gahey will play still, and Eze maybe, but yeah, hard to say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if they're determined to make these transfers, they probably don't want to risk the players being injured as well. That's the other element to it.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Fulham United, this was interesting actually, because again, I think the reverse, I say reverse fixture last season, Fulham did give United a bit of a whooping. I think it was, if I remember correctly, 3-0, 2-0, something like that. One of the fixtures anyway. I can't remember which one, but yeah, I feel like so we've got Holm in the chat, who's a Fulham supporter, and we've got Ryan of plenty of Man United supporters in the chat as well. I don't know if this is reflective, like what we've got here, because United have obviously got a stronger attacking side. Although, I mean, we've not really. I mean, we've seen some of it in pre-season, but will we see Šeško play this time round? Will he start? Fulham have dropped off a little bit, in my opinion, in terms of like just their attacking side of things, although Muniz and Jimenez are still getting the goals in as well, from what it seemed like from pre-season. And what do you reckon? Like, is this sort of going to be a KG kind of a match, do you feel? Or is at Craven Cottage as well?
I'm not sure. I've just got a gut feeling that this might be a bit of a statement game for Man United. I think they did play pretty well against Arsenal, but it was just like Arsenal was just a very tough opponent game week 1. But I think this is a chance for Man United to come out and show the world what progress they've made, and I think they're going to be pretty determined to do that.
Yeah.
So I actually would not be surprised to see a comfortable Man United win in this game.
Yeah,
even though it is away from home.
Yeah,
but, I mean,
fair.
that's my vibes based opinion, and not really. Yeah, I'm not sure whether the data is going to back up that opinion, but it's just what I feel like might happen.
Yeah,
it's just a narrative I'm building in my head, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think after seeing Man United not play very well for so many, like a couple of seasons now as well, like there is a tiny part of me that's like, no, we need you to start playing well because we need some like good competitive matches coming from you guys now, and it's no longer a joke anymore. And I'm really glad glad about some of the transfers that they've made as well, and their side is looking really good. I think getting Cunha and Mbumo in the team is fantastic, and then obviously getting Šeško up in front as well. So
three massive signings. Yeah,
it is. It really is. So yeah, I'm not sure. Like I still feel like it could easily be a 1-1 kind of a match as well. Let's see. Brentford Villa. So this one. So I've got double Villa. Sorry, you've got double Villa as well. We've got Rodgers and Watkins in our sides. Concert, how awful was that? Like just that red card. I feel like Watkins and Rodgers could have probably got some returns in the second half. But yeah, it was super unfortunate, with that red card for Concert. Sorry if you have Concert in your side. That was awful, especially because he was highly owned.
He came out with a 3-pointer. It wasn't the worst result.
How? It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it's crazy. But what are you expecting from the Villa guys, I guess, in this fixture? Because it's away.
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot more from Villa in this fixture. I mean, I expected quite a bit from them in the first game week, but Newcastle were a lot more prepared for that game than I expected. But I think Brentford are in trouble this year, and I think that if any of the established teams are going to get dragged down into the relegation scrap, it's going to be them.
Yeah.
So I think that any time you're playing Brentford, I actually think it's a pretty good fixture, and I'm expecting Watkins and Rodgers to do a lot better this week.
Yeah, agree. I'm really hoping. I'm really hoping that they do. Otherwise, I think potentially one of them could be on the chopping block for me as well.
Yeah.
Not to have
agree.
a double up.
It's hard to, if they're looking really bad against Brentford of all teams, then it is going to be pretty hard to justify carrying double Villa.
Yeah.
Moving forward. So
yeah, agree. Especially because there's
players are on thin ice.
Definitely, and I think because there's so many like good players emerging in the midfield as well, I just feel like you want to jump on those opportunities as well. Like again, playing as a casual manager, I don't want to be too patient as well. Like I'd rather course correct any kind of moves or I wouldn't say mistakes, but just I don't think the player that I picked is a good player anymore. And so, I'm going to just admit that wasn't a good pick and just pivot, as quickly as possible as well.
Yeah, I agree. Like there's a fine line between being patient and being passive. And I think maybe after game week 1, it's wise to be patient, but then maybe after game week 2, game week 3, if you are still holding fast on players that aren't playing well, then you probably are just being a bit too passive, right?
Yeah, agree. Moving on to Arsenal Leeds, I think we touched on it ever so slightly, but I guess if you like a lot of managers, at least like the teams that I've seen, they don't have any Arsenal players at the moment. So, which is a massive surprise, right? Like we start season by season, like every season, we've usually got a defender, Gabriel Saliba, for example. Saka is a staple pick, usually as well. Last season I started quite earlier on. I'm pretty sure like beginning of the season with Havertz in my side as well, which was great for me. And I noticed in the chat someone mentioned that Havertz looks like might be out. So let me just see if I can find it. I'm pretty sure someone said, or maybe it was Pete. Pete, did you say Havertz was out potentially or has picked up an injury? I think that's what's happened. So Havertz has picked up an injury, as reported by Fabrizio Romano, and so stocks have like gone up for Gyökeres. But if you don't have Arsenal players, are we thinking do you make that move for just the one game week and hope that you just keep them for a little while longer?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think people would have had a lot more Arsenal players in their team if this was a game week 1 fixture, not a game week 2 fixture. But Yeah, I think the issue is that Arsenal's fixtures after this game are not great. So I think that's why most people have made the decision almost just to sacrifice this game.
Yeah.
But to be honest, Leeds are I know that they're a promoted team and they're just coming up from the championship, but they are more solid defensively than I think most people give them credit for.
Yeah. Talk to us, Leeds fan.
Well, look, I'm not like a big stats guy, but I know that their defensive stats were better than Burnley's last season, even though Burnley, had that historic year where they only conceded 16 goals. I think there was a bit of part of that was luck and part of that was just how good of a goalkeeper Trafford is.
Yeah.
But statistically, Leeds were the strongest defensive team in the championship. I think they were extremely good defensively last week against Everton. I know that Everton are not the best attacking team, but they didn't really look like scoring.
Yeah.
In game week 1. So obviously Arsenal's a whole different story. But given that Arteta is the kind of manager that probably will get to 2-0 and then happily just sit on it and
Park.
He's happy to sit on that 2-0 lead and then just play out the game.
Yeah.
I don't think we can expect like a big 3-4-5-0 blowout. Even though there is obviously golfing class, I just think, Leeds are pretty strong defensively for a promoted team, and Arsenal are not the kind of team that are going to expend unnecessary energy piling on goals when the game's won.
Yeah, agree. I mean, look, the clean sheet odds are very high. The goals, I mean, it's the highest clean sheet odds and goals for the game week 2. So, look, I'm not going to lie, I am tempted. I'm tempted to drop Palmer and go to Saka, but again, I think the no pens puts me off a little bit. West Ham, conceding 3 goals to Sunderland puts me off a little bit as well, and not getting in on the points action there. Whether it's Palmer or not, like maybe an assist from Palmer, who knows. But Saka, I don't know. Like, I feel like there is definitely potential for returns there. But then I'm looking at it from making a transfer. Is it worth making a transfer when they could probably score similar kind of points as well? And, we'll have to come back to this, whether that actually occurs or not. But yeah, I'm tempted to just leave that transfer alone and just bank the transfer and look at sort of, making 2 moves in game week 3 as, rather than, just taking a risk with that particular one.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the expected goals, Arsenal's expected goals are about 2.5. Chelsea's are 2.
Yeah.
Chelsea's are 2. So Arsenal is expected to score half a goal more.
That's it. Yeah, it's not much.
You're kind of thinking Palmer and Saka probably both get 1 return each. And then the advantage that Palmer has is he's got that bailout of penalties.
Yeah.
Whereas Saka apparently doesn't. So I can see a world where you move from Palmer to Saka after being frustrated by Palmer in game week 1.
Yeah.
And then he does nothing all game and gets that penalty and, gets a 9-pointer or whatever. So I just think that maybe the value of 2 free transfers in game week 3 might be higher than the upgrade in that transfer.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I completely agree. Look, moving on to very quickly on the next fixture. I mean, there's probably not that much to talk about. Maybe with Everton versus Brighton. I don't say that with any disrespect there or anything like that. But yeah, it looks like it could be 1-1. Clean sheet odds seem to be very similar-ish as well. Everton, look, again, pre-season, Everton, massive hype around DEFCON and getting Tarkowski in, despite sort of, I think, the injury to Branthwaite as well. And then Ndiaye has definitely been, just kind of like in and around a lot of, managers' sides as well. They've now got Barry up front as well. They've got Grealish over there. They've got, KDH as well. Slightly different Moyes side at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if you had Ndiaye, surely that Ndiaye to Reinders transfer must be extremely
appealing. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Because he's 6.5, right?
Yeah, exactly. Plenty of money to do that. This, as you said, like this kind of fixture does kind of scream a draw. I'm thinking that it's either going to be like a 1-1 or a 0-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised the clean sheet odds are as low as they are because, neither team looked that great from an attacking point of view last week.
No, yeah. So it could quite easily be 0-0 as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. Not sure.
yeah.
That particular fixture doesn't excite me as much as some of the
No,
others, obviously.
that's definitely one where if you've got sort of defensive assets, like I've got Verbruggen and De Cowper.
Yeah.
I've got no interest in watching that game. You can tell me at the end whether I got the clean sheets or not.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
like honestly, I'd rather watch Burnley versus Sunderland.
yeah, me too.
I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, look, we've got a couple of other graphics, but I'll see. Look, we're like an hour and 40-ish minutes in. Thank you for tuning in. If you're still with us and you've been watching and listening since the beginning, really appreciate you being there. Please do like and subscribe. You're obviously, well, I hope enjoying the stream. Please do like, and hopefully more people will find my channel as well. And I am trying to get to about 1,000 subscribers this season. Would be amazing. The last sort of couple of streams and videos have been a huge support from some of the community as well. So yeah, I'm really enjoying sort of bringing some of this content to you guys and just having a good old chat about FPL and everything else as well. But yeah, please do like and subscribe. And yeah, so I think the other few graphics that I had, and we don't need to go too much into, I think we touched on majority of what's covered in the teams to target anyway, but I will jump to the projections, and the reason why I want to touch on this ever so slightly before we look at our bus teams is just to look at if you're thinking about knee-jerking in any players, if we look at the goal projections, and hopefully Andrew, you can see this clearly on the screen as well.
Yeah, I can, yeah.
So City's at the top of this at the moment with the goal projections, and here I am sitting with no City assets in my team and slightly nervous about that as well. But you can see, this was something that Rob T dropped just a couple of hours ago, and I was able to, grab that for this stream. But yeah, just over 2 goals or 2 goals for game week 2, and then, 2 goals again for game week 3, and then right up until really game week 5 is where it drops down to 1 goal there, but otherwise 2 or more goals for the next 2 to 7, game weeks. So now I'm thinking, shit, do I just bring in a City player is what I'm thinking here. Maybe.
It is pretty scary looking at that. I think game week 6, who have they got in game week 6 that there's 3.1 projected goals? I think there's been talk that that might be a good week to free hit if you're not a Haaland owner.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure. Let's have a look. I have not been very good with just having a fixture ticker sort of up and available, but let's just have a look at game week 6. This is my makeshift kind of version. Burnley, home. Yeah, that makes sense. There you go. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. We're gonna want some sort of Man City coverage.
Yeah, I think so. I'm now wondering, do I wildcard early? Oh.
Yeah. I'm looking at that. I've got no Man City. I've got no Arsenal.
Yeah. Shit.
But we've got Liverpool, Chelsea, Villa, Man United coverage. You can't have everyone.
No, and this is it, right? I've got 3 Liverpool at the moment, so I'm definitely going to start managing, the team from bringing, just being realistic about who I should have in the team. So maybe Frimpong down by game week 3 to maybe I think I was thinking Palace defender initially, just to free up a little bit of money as well. But Wirtz is definitely on my watch and see and kind of work out what's going on there. So maybe by game week 4, I'm not sure. But then again, Liverpool's fixtures change, right? So it's really, really making a decision which one I drop between game week 2 and 3. Because I don't know if I'll go into game week 4 with all 3 of them. Or maybe I do, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm going to end up being a bit more patient, casually patient.
I mean, whatever happens in game week 2 is going to have a massive say in how you feel about your triple Liverpool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, just looking at that, I am mildly freaking out about not having City players, as I mentioned. But otherwise, I'm generally happy with the team that I've got. And, we'll jump to our bus teams in a mo.
Yeah.
But, just looking at the clean sheet odds here as well, if I just zoom into that a little bit more. Again, like just for this week and game week 4 as well. Like if you look at Arsenal, actually, who's Arsenal got in game week 4? Why do I not know? Because that's a lot higher than what I thought.
I can check.
I can have a look up here again.
Can I ask Mira, how much is Frimpong? Is he 6.0?
He's 6 million. Yeah, annoying.
Yeah, so
annoying.
him to 8 Nori might be the transfer.
Yeah, even this week,
makes
right?
the most sense. Well, yeah, it might be the one that makes the most sense for you because that way you're bringing in an attacking and a defensive asset from Man City in one go.
Yeah, agree. And so look, this is interesting, right? So Arsenal have got Forest. It's a home fixture for Arsenal, but they've got Forest at home. But I'm not sure if I would say that is a 47% clean sheet odd, given how they're... Or maybe that's just based on, I don't know, maybe pre-season, right?
Forest had 5-0 all draws in pre-season.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
They don't score a lot of goals away from home, so
yeah.
Arsenal, best defence in the league. It's 47% is very high, but I can see that.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, so then I'm thinking, do I maybe go for an Arsenal defensive asset instead? Just for some clean sheets there, like in the next couple of fixtures. Maybe. But then Liverpool's also got Burnley in game week 4, so it's not... Yeah, so I think this is where it gets really tricky, and just looking at data like this, I'm thinking...
Yeah, because Liverpool's defensive fixtures in 4 and 5 are very strong.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, some food for thought there, I think, looking at these, and obviously these will evolve as we learn more from game week 2 and after game week 2 has passed as well. But yeah, something to consider when I'm thinking about, at the very least, which players I want to bring in and not knee-jerk too much as well. So... But Andrew, shall we jump into our bus teams? Let's have a look at what you're thinking. And so I've got your bus team on the screen. Please do read it out as well, and talk to us about what you're thinking.
Yeah, sure. I mean, when I set my bus team for game week 2, the first thing that I realised is that I had so many players away from home, which I don't think I realised when I set up the team. But anyway, I've got goalkeeper. I've got Verbruggen away to Everton. Although I'm very tempted to actually play Dubravka, who's got Sunderland at home. I think we saw that Burnley's clean sheet odds were about 32% versus 29% for Brighton, so it's comparable, but. I guess if I go with the odds, I should play Dubravka, especially since I've also got De Cowper.
Yeah.
So playing double Brighton defence is a lot of risk. So I've got De Cowper, I've got Murillo, who's away to Palace, I've got Wan-Bissaka, who's home to Chelsea. So to play those 3 defenders, I'm benching Pedro Porro, Man City away. So it's difficult to bench him, but it is the way I'm leaning. We talked about it already. Midfield, I've got Mo Salah. I've got Palmer. He's my bus captain at the moment, although I'm wavering pretty hard on him. Then I've got Rodgers, Bruno Fernandes, and Anderson. And then my forwards are Watkins, who's got Brentford away. I think that's a really good fixture for Watkins playing against his old team. He does usually tend to go pretty well against Brentford. And then Mateta home to Forest. So...
it's a good side.
I thought it was a good side before game week 1. So what do I know? But yeah, I think I will. I think I will move the captaincy over to Mo just because I've got so many really good memories of captaining Mo against Newcastle. I think there was one game a year or so ago where he actually missed a pen and then he ended up getting another pen and then scoring an open play goal and getting an assist. He ended up getting something like a 16-pointer anyway, despite missing a pen. And I think he did pretty well in the other game in the same season. So yeah, maybe just these Liverpool Newcastle games, they tend to be wild, high scoring games, and maybe I
Yeah.
should just put the captaincy on him. But anyway, yeah, I am quite happy about having Bruno Fernandes in there for this Fulham game.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm hoping that Rodgers and Watkins do a lot better this week than they did in game week 1. So yeah, we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go.
No, it's a good side. It's a good side. I think like the only other thing that comes to mind is, yeah, like you say, potentially playing Dubravka. And Q just said, yeah, go with go with you can join me with double Brighton defense, is what he said in the chat there. Yeah, like it's funny.
Yeah, I usually don't like hedging because I like to maximize my possible points, and by playing with double Brighton defense, if they do get a clean sheet, like it really makes my game week almost. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think if I benched Verbruggen and Brighton end up with a clean sheet, I'll probably be quite frustrated having had his clean sheet get wiped out in the 97th minute in game week 1, than
Yeah.
to bench a clean sheet in game week 2.
Yeah.
It would be frustrating, but yeah, I think to a certain extent you've kind of got to play the odds a little bit. I'm still undecided on that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fair play. And Porro, like, are you still, like, I feel like you should play Porro, but...
I know that you want me to play Porro. I just...
Well, I'm just saying that, City does have a bogey team, and
Yeah.
Spurs is definitely them as well. Like, I could see some returns there, but it's a hard one, like, because you've got, I mean, would you want to play Wan-Bissaka? I guess it's a home fixture.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't really want to play him. I think that obviously, I think my defense is obviously the weakest part of my squad for game week 2.
Yeah.
Just because Porro is my most premium defender, and I don't really want to play him. But I do think people are overreacting a little bit to West Ham in game week 1. I already sort of mentioned that they were away from home against a newly promoted team that were obviously going to be very, very fired up. But the other element to it is I think that Sunderland's XG was like less than half a goal. They just scored 3 really low XG chances.
Yeah.
And I think on another day, like that could have just been a 0-0 draw, and we're thinking, oh yeah, West Ham defense pretty decent.
Yeah. Ash has just said, Wan-Bissaka, good first sub in the early kickoff in case of no shows. Benching Porro feels tough since he's on corners. So food for thought there.
Yeah, I think it's something that I really will have to think about pretty hard over the next few days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely haven't locked it in.
Yeah, nice. Boona's just entered the chat. Hi, Boona. Hi, Rahul. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Great to have you. We've been going for a while now, but we're getting there towards the end of this stream. Well, I say end of this stream. We've still got a little bit to go, but if you're good for time, Andrew, then yeah, we can carry on going with some of the other bits that we've got to share with everyone that's tuning in. But I'll quickly touch on my bus team as well. So I've got Sanchez in goal, Frimpong, Murillo, and double. So Williams and Murillo in defence as well. And I'm thinking about playing both of them. Although I'm tempted to maybe not go double Forest there. But again, it could be a 0-0 kind of a match as well. So yeah, I'm deliberating. Do I just play Anderson maybe? Not sure. Van der Ven is the other option, but yeah, maybe I just end up with double Forest defence and hope for the best there, that there's a potential clean sheet there. So I've got Salah, Wirtz as well, Palmer, Rodgers, and Xhaka. So I'm thinking about playing Xhaka at the moment. I probably don't have to, but I feel like that could be a really good fixture for some defcons for Xhaka as well. You never know. Like, he's on a lot of set pieces as well. So yeah, potentially a good opportunity there to play Xhaka, massive differential as well. But alternatively, I could play Anderson or Van der Ven as well. So yeah, I'm currently leaning this way at the moment. Captaincy on Salah. And up front, I've got Strand Larson against Bournemouth. as mentioned earlier, Strand Larsen looked really good against City, so really looking forward to, seeing how he plays against Bournemouth. And, Bournemouth obviously letting in some goals as well, so defensively not as strong, but attack obviously looking pretty good, as we saw against Liverpool. As you mentioned as well, I'm really hoping that Watkins and Rodgers do the Watkins and Rodgers show in this game week and try and get some returns there. But definitely one of them is on the chopping block there as well. And Boona has rightfully sort of noticed there's no Saka in either of your teams, not worried at all about that. Yeah, Boona, we touched on the conversation about Arsenal and Saka, and I think the no pens with Saka and potentially just kind of, banking in a transfer there is a little bit of a maybe, and not sure, whether it's worth doing that. But I'm definitely wondering whether I take out Frimpong and go with like a Gabriel or something, and just maybe do that. But maybe I hold on to Palmer now and not bother switching out Palmer to Saka as a potential transfer as well, only to want to maybe bring back Palmer later. I don't know. Like right now, I could dump Palmer out of my team based on just game week 1. So I'm trying to just not knee-jerk too much as well. Yeah. Could play Dubravka. Home fixture.
Yep. And I would, you could play Anderson instead of maybe Nico Williams.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe just kind of.
I feel like he's definitely a minimum 3-pointer because you're probably going to get the DEFCON points.
Yeah.
And maybe they concede 2 goals to Man United, but you've still got the extra point there. So I feel like he's a 3-pointer. Is Williams going to be more than that? Maybe he might just be a 2-pointer.
It's really hard to say because like Palace have been really good, as well. But from an attacking, like as in defensively, yes. But from attacking perspective, they've generally been okay. And Mateta is good. I know you've got Mateta in your side. Eze, will he play? I think if Eze does not play, I don't think that attack is looking very good. And so I'd be inclined to go with double Forest defence.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's just a matter of whether we're going to know that or not before the deadline.
I
think the team looks pretty good. Like it's splitting hairs. There's probably not much difference between
everyone is away.
Yeah.
Everyone is away.
Yeah, I think a lot of the more popular assets seem to be away from home this week. So it might be another relatively low scoring week. Overall. I reckon the away fixtures.
I reckon so. Manara is asking a question about views on Watkins as captain for game week 2. I don't think it's a bad pick. I think it depends who else you've got in your side there, but I don't mind it. I just don't know if I would with a Salah sitting there as well, and potentially, I mean, I don't know if I'd want to go on Palmer either, to be fair. So Watkins is not a bad second option, is what I would be thinking with my team. So, not terrible, but it wasn't also like, I really want to captain Watkins after that first fixture.
Yeah, I think all 3 of Salah, Palmer and Watkins weren't that impressive in game week 1. The difference is Salah managed to jag that goal in the 94th minute.
It's what he does.
It is what he does. That's why I'm leaning towards him. When I first picked the team leading into game week 1, I was expecting to captain Palmer in game week 2, but I think I will go with Salah. I don't think Watkins is that bad of a shout. I wish that he'd played better in game week 1, but he did have a very good preseason, and he does have a very good record against Brentford. And I don't love Brentford particularly this season. So I don't hate it. it is a bit of a risk.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. So another, I guess, like conversation worth having, and what I'll do is I'll just bring up the two sides that I have. And these are two teams that are, well, so free hit drafts, first of all, I should mention. These are two free hit drafts that I saw on X, and I thought, yeah, okay, that's not too bad. And I know that they probably would be quite a few managers thinking about free hit for game week 2, if they, maybe because they've planned for it, or maybe because I hate my team and I just want a free hit because there's an opportunity to go for some of the players that are potentially worth going for as well. So this first particular draft, I love how it's got Wood, Ekitike and Haaland up front. It's got Saka in there as well. No Salah, obviously, with a couple of, the combinations there. But, so if I read it out really quickly, so this first draft has got Raya in goal, Cucurella, Ballard, Gabriel, Reinders, Cherky, Saka, Wirtz, Wood, Ekitike and Haaland captain. I actually don't mind this team. It's quite nice, for this particular, for game week 2. But I mean, it's lacking Burnley players. I think it's sort of emphasising that Sunderland are probably going to outperform their expected goal, goals and points again. But yeah, I'm not sure because, like, obviously Sunderland are playing away, but. Yeah, to give Burnley benefit of the doubt, I'd probably play maybe Dubravka over Raya. But I think if you're banking a clean sheet there, maybe even having Gabriel and Saliba would be really interesting. But with the Gyökeres news as well, or at least Havertz news, maybe Ekitike or even Wood to. Going with Gyökeres instead and dropping Raya down to a cheaper goalkeeper and playing Dubravka. That's not a bad free hit side.
Yeah, not bad at all. I mean, I also think it's lacking a little bit of Bournemouth, maybe.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having Semenyo in the midfield or even Evan Nielsen in that Wood slot.
Yeah. And if you look at the second draft there, so Dubravka in goal, Ballard, Saliba, Gabriel, so that's where you got your double sort of Arsenal defence there, and Mbumo, Semenyo, Palmer, Reinders in the midfield, and then you've got Watkins, Gyökeres and Haaland up front with Gyökeres captain in this particular draft. Again, quite like it. It's not bad at all. It's nicely balanced. I prefer the Watkins over Wood in this particular draft, and Gyökeres over Ekitike, although Ekitike against Newcastle could be a bit of a statement, kind of a match, opportunity as well. So especially while Isak is not in at Liverpool at the moment as well. But it's got the Semenyo pick there in midfield, but no Saka. So yeah, I think that's maybe the pens and also the clean sheet odds just being super high for Arsenal as well. Yeah. So I think I prefer the second draft, if I'm honest. But it's not a bad free hit draft.
Yeah, I think I prefer that one too. I mean, obviously, not having Saka is probably the main weakness, but having Gyökeres and double Arsenal defence, I can understand why they've gone that way. So yeah, I think I do like that one.
Yeah, it's not bad. Is anyone on a free hit for game week 2 in the chat? If you're still sort of tuned in and haven't sort of snoozed off or gone for or maybe on your afternoon walk and you can see this particular draft, let me know what you think, or let us know what you think. If you're on free hit, and is there anyone else missing from the teams that you see on the screen at the moment? I think, like I say, I think the second draft is probably lacking Liverpool, but I don't know where you would bring that player in. Maybe Mbumo. I'm not sure what the budget is, the remainder budget with these drafts, but yeah, I do like both of them. I like the second one a little bit more.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. I think we're coming towards the end of the stream, but I just wanted to, again, just do a bit of a plug-in for the FPL SideNet podcast, one of, like I've mentioned a million times, one of my favourite podcasts that I love tuning into week after week. So Andrew is one half of the FPL Sidenet podcast, and with Peterson, they bring some really good banter and really good preview of game weeks and really great conversation. So and movie puns galore as well. So I love that, and I try to do that with my thumbnail and the show title for this particular stream as well. But thank you again for everyone tuning in. Please do like and subscribe as always. I'll really appreciate your support there. I'm going to quickly jump into mini league sort of mention as well. So I've got the play off the cuff mini league this season, and I finally have a prize for this season as well, which is the official FPL notebook that was gifted to me by Official FPL a couple of seasons ago. I haven't used it, and I thought it would be a nice prize because I ended up with 2 of these now. And so, for the lucky winner. So please do, join the mini league, and the code for the mini league is HNX3WR. Join the mini league, and I'm looking forward to shipping this out to someone at the end of this season. But since we've got a little bit more time, and we'll do a little bit of Q&A. And if you're up for it, I've got the rapid fire segment, which I introduced last season, and I haven't really had the chance to come back to. So the rapid fire segment is basically 60 seconds, so 1 minute. It's a stoppage time rapid fire. And so Andrew, I haven't been able to work out how to get the timer on the screen. So I'm going to put a physical timer up. So I'm going to put 1 minute and 5 seconds, and I'm going to hold this up while I read out the questions to you, so that it's counting down. Oh God, I gave you 10 seconds there. What am I doing? Making it too easy. But I've got about 11 questions, and you've got 60 seconds to answer them, and I want the first answer that comes to mind, right? Are you ready? I'm gonna click that there and start reading out. So you got an extra 5 split second type of thing going on there, yeah? All right.
Sounds good. I'm nervous, but I'm ready.
You got this. All right, let's do this. So, wildcard or free hit?
Free hit.
First name in your FPL team every season?
Salah.
Player you think will be a hit this season?
Declan Rice.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Player you think will be a flop this season?
Isaac.
Oh, don't say that. Your all-time FPL troll.
Oh my God, I've got so many. Semenyo.
Oh, okay. Chase team value or ignore price rises?
Early season, chase team value.
Okay. Which footballer would you trust your FPL login with?
Definitely anyone but Neil Morpay.
Oh, that's good. A team you'll never support?
I don't know. Newcastle.
I'm going to still finish these questions. Okay, fair enough.
I run out of time.
You ran out of time.
They were hard.
Yeah, they were. That's fair. I will iterate, these questions. But VAR, keep or bin it?
Keep it.
Early transfers or last minute panic?
Early transfers.
All right, last question. Weirdest place you've made an FPL transfer?
Ooh, weirdest place. I don't know. Probably on the toilet.
Thanks. Actually, you're not the first to say that. I'm pretty sure there was a couple last season.
It's just an efficient use of time.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's totally fair. Look, that's the end of this stream pretty much. Unless you've got questions in the chat, if you do have any questions, please do pop them in. We will take a couple of questions as we sort of do some final thoughts and, captaincy sort of quick conversation around that. So, Andrew, you're currently on Palmer, but potentially moving on to Salah. I'm currently on Salah, and I'll probably leave it there as well, just similar to your sort of thinking as well. Any other final thoughts that come to mind for game week 2, where you're at and what you're thinking? So you're definitely a roll as well?
Yeah, I'm pretty. I'm I'm pretty determined just to stay patient, at least for one more week, and hopefully game week 2 will be better than game week 1. I'm a firm believer that sometimes after game week 1 there are some things that you think are a problem, and then after game week 2 you realize that they're actually fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need another look, I think, before we can really make decisions on some of the players that we brought in for a reason.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. No, I agree. And I think, I'm trying to calm the FOMO and the knee jerk and the casual player in me is like, I'm going to take a -8.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of the thinking that I've got. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I should. I'm not sure. But I'm not going to do what I did last game week, which was, I really want Frimpong. Let me just kind of like blow up my team to bring in Frimpong. And here we are, sitting in the 6-point-something million mark at the moment, which does not matter at the moment. It's still very early days, 37 game weeks to go. But I'm really hoping that I can just make a good call with just rolling my transfer. If anything, if there is a single move that I would make, it would potentially be to, like you say, go for like an 8 Nori potentially from Frimpong, or to even drop down. Not drop down, actually, I shouldn't say that, but maybe just do a bit of a switcheroo with Palmer to Saka, because that's what I was thinking originally. But that I think I'm cooling off on, at the moment. So I might sort of skip that entirely. Mr. Tendai, I don't know what your comment was that got removed, but you're welcome to kind of, drop your questions or comments into the chat again, and maybe I'll catch it. But yeah, if there's no other sort of questions, we might sort of, hang up the stream, and hang up our boots for this particular stream and call it a day, and hope that, Salah comes through for us for captaincy next game week. And we have some more hope for, going into game week 2 onwards as well. That's pretty much it. Anything else that comes to mind? Any plugins for you as well?
Look, I just wanted to say thank you for having me on. Had a really good time talking to you, as I always do. Thanks for your continued support of our little show. But we'll be recording. I think Pete and I will be recording an episode around this time tomorrow night.
Nice.
So hopefully that'll be, in Spotify and all of the normal places within the next 24 hours or so.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. No, it's brilliant.
Always good to come on. Sorry I couldn't come on in the pre-season. But I love coming on the show, so.
All good, honestly. So good to have you back on the show. And, for those that don't know, Andrew is a FPL manager based in Sydney. And so we often, get to catch up with Andrew in person for FPL meets over here in Sydney. So we do have a Sydney chapter, and hopefully we can try and organise another meets coming up in the next couple of weeks or something like that. We'll see how it goes and everyone's availability. I think it's very cold here in Australia at the moment because it's winter, and it's been raining loads in around Sydney anyway. And so the desire to kind of have a meetup and head into the city or something like that is very low. So hopefully the next couple of weeks it warms up. But maybe before the clocks change in October, and we can try and squeeze in a nice 9:30 fixture or something like that in the city. That would be really, really good.
I was going to say the same thing. If we can get one in before the 9:30 p.m. games go away, then that'd be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. But thank you so much again, Andrew, for joining me, and that too for a very long stream as well. These do end up being very rambly and very long streams, and so I really do appreciate everyone tuning in, whether it's live at the moment or catching this afterwards as well. Please do hit like and subscribe so more people can find my channel. But thank you to everyone that joined in the chat as well. There was a quick question from Advay. I hope I'm saying your name right. Thoughts on Ekatike? I really like Ekatike for the next game week. 2 game weeks or, a couple of game weeks, I think the Isak saga is going to continue. And even then, I don't think Isak sort of, just steps into the team. He's not had preseason. So I think, if anything, for the next couple of game weeks or even longer, Ekitike is a really good pick. And you saw, everything's going through him at the moment as well. And he's just looking very lively and good. So, yeah, really happy to have Ekitike in the team at the moment. So, yeah, I like him as a pick. But thank you so much to everyone else in the chat that has tuned in. Really do appreciate it. Have a great game week 2. May your arrows be green and your clean sheets be clean is something that I know Peterson and Andrew say very frequently on their podcast. So I'm stealing it this time round since I've got one half on my show. So thank you again to everyone that tuned in.
You nailed it. Well done.
Thank you, Andrew. Take care, everyone. And good luck for game week 2. And I'll catch you next week when I'm reviewing how game week 2 went for me. So ciao for now. And take it easy.